Now welcome to another lightning response video, where after the last couple videos I maybe poked at some plot holes between the prequels and original trilogy and ruffled some feathers along the way. I'm going to sort of do the opposite. I'm going to play a bit of prequel defender now. I'm going to look at some comments that had some things to point out as well that they feel is an issue with the prequels, which they are certainly free to feel that way. Anyway, the first comment comes to us from a Siberian Dream, who said, "Hey Thor, if we're criticizing the flaws of the prequels, then how do you feel that after Anakin confesses his slaughter of men, women, and children in Episode 2, Padme takes it very nonchalantly and still goes on to marry and have children with this man? I think the normal human reaction is to recoil and say, 'Oh my god, you're a monster, get away from me, you murderer.' For a freedom fighter and a moral humanist like Padme is, it is especially galling. Do you think, as I do, that it makes more sense if he had told this to Palpatine and Padme never found out until Episode 3? Because it also feels entirely non-credible that Padme would deny that he could ever kill Jedi children when she knows he already has a history of killing children." Alright, I certainly think this is a very fair question, and a good question, because, yeah, it doesn't make a ton of sense that Anakin confesses, "I just killed a bunch of women and children and men, I just slaughtered a whole village or tribe of Tusken Raiders," and you're just going to come and comfort me and say, it's hard to be a human being. But speaking of humans, and my not so great answer is that I don't think, and don't get all upset at me, but I don't think George Lucas intended for the Tusken Raiders to be seen as anything resembling humans. I mean, resembling them in appearance, but not in, say, anything else necessarily. I don't think he sees them as anything but savages that roam the land and do all sorts of very horrible things. Now, you could certainly argue they still seem to be very sentient beings, and I think they are absolutely, obviously sentient and rather intelligent, relatively speaking. I mean, they're seen rummaging through Luke's speeder in Episode 4 and looking for stuff to either salvage and use or to sell to the Jawas. I don't know what they do with the stuff, but they have rifles, they've domesticated banthas. They are clearly sentient, intelligent beings. And do keep in mind, this is all, of course, pre-Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, when we have now seen another side of the Tusken Raiders, that they are not just pure savages and all of that. And you could argue that, again, that's not how Lucas ever intended them to be, and I think that is the answer here. I'm not saying this is a good answer, but I think the answer is meant to be that they're just savages, and that's how Lucas always wanted them to be seen and portrayed, as just kind of a savage band that roams the deserts of Tatooine and takes what they want, kills whoever they want, and that's about it. So I'm assuming that Padme knows this, and even though I agree with your argument that Padme, even if they are kind of mindless savages, wouldn't be too thrilled to learn that Anakin has just slaughtered all of them, including the women and children. But I think, in going kind of along with the comment I'm going to do next, I think Padme is just madly, deeply in love with Anakin, as she will soon say in the arena on Geonosis. And I think she, as crazy as it sounds and as unbelievable as it may sound, she just, believes this is a poor thing that happened to Anakin. That he lost his mother, that they kidnapped his mother, they killed a bunch of people that went after his mother. And they are just mindless savages, and I don't want to say that she believes they deserved what happened to them, but she certainly didn't seem to disagree or be appalled over what had happened to them, which I kind of agree with you, seems strange and out of character for Padme of all characters we know in Star Wars. But again, I think she loves Anakin. I think she feels terrible for him losing his mother, and she knew Shmi from Episode 1, so she knew the sacrifice Shmi had to make to give up Anakin and to live alone, and she was a slave until Klee Galars bought her and married her and all that happened. But yeah, the only answer I can give you is that Lucas thinks they're savages. Lucas thinks Tusken Raiders are just pure savages, and Padme felt bad for Anakin. Is that a good answer? No, but that is the answer the movie basically tries to give us. Alright, our next question then comes to us from David Anderson, who asked, "Hey Thor, it's not a plot hole or the inconsistencies that make the prequels bad. It's the films in their totality. The terrible line delivery, the nonsensical plot of Palpy being the head of both armies, the fact that he'd even try to put Jar Jar Binks in them. Take Anakin's turn. He just found out that Palpy is not only a secret Sith, he has discovered Palpy is the biggest liar in the universe. He's been lying to everyone, the Senate, the Jedi, the people of the Republic. So instead of letting Mace take care of the guy who caused all the problems, he betrays everyone based on the word of the guy who is the biggest liar in the universe. Then after he's saved Palpy, Palpy tells him, 'Yeah, I don't know how to save your wife, but I'm sure we can figure it out.' In the meantime, go slaughter the Jedi children and kill the people who I'm in charge of so they can't talk. And he does it. Then Anakin has the audacity to say that from his point of view, the Jedi are evil. Who spent the afternoon murdering children and unarmed bureaucrats? Just terrible, terrible writing. And again, there are some fair points here. I will agree, if you just watch the movie, it does feel a bit strange and rushed, maybe, that he so quickly turns to the dark side and he's killing kids, even though he's about to have a kid, even though he's also killed some kids before. But anyway, the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, and this isn't just going to be my answer, but the Revenge of the Sith novelization does a really, really good job of explaining how manipulative Palpatine was, how he was having issues with the Jedi, how he wasn't sleeping at this time. It goes into a lot of things that just make the story make a whole hell of a lot more sense, I would say, and I did a video on it not long ago. I'll try to remember to put a link if you want to check it out. But it goes into a lot of things that just make it better. Now, that said, if you haven't read the book and you've only seen the movies, yeah, I could see why you would have an issue with how fast Anakin seems to fall to the dark side. And though we can get into an interesting discussion about the dark side and how it works, I think the best answer or easiest answer just might be this is meant to be a Shakespearean tragedy, which is also the answer to some of my inconsistency questions from the previous videos. This isn't meant to be a documentary. I will still argue that, yes, if we are trying to look at it as realistically as possible, there are some issues and some things that don't make a ton of sense. And that shouldn't be a reason or justification for some inconsistencies in the story, or maybe some bad writing, however we want to look at it. But anyway, the answer is this is supposed to be a story that teaches us a valuable lesson. That, I would imagine, is how Lucas would explain it to you if you asked him about the plot holes and inconsistencies, or why Anakin turned so fast. Now, he might have some other answers, yes. But I think he would say, I value the story first, and I'm trying to tell you a story, and I don't really care about all the tiny little details. That is why there are inconsistencies between the prequels and OT, because he just wanted to convey a story that had meaning. And the meaning here is that we all must learn how to let go, and that the more you seek to control things, the more you're probably going to lose control. That love is and can be a terrific thing, but if you try to hold on to it so damn tightly that you are willing to let a Sith Lord rule the galaxy for the chance of saving the one you love, maybe that's a problem. And I really think the issue with Revenge of the Sith, why this feels so odd that he would do all of this for Padme, is because, well, as you say at the beginning there, the writing of the prequels is not the greatest. I'm going to be fair and honest here. It could have been written better, I think. I think there is a fantastic story in there, but the execution isn't always perfect. And if, say, Episode 2 had sold the love between Anakin and Padme better, which might also begin to answer that first question, why would Padme be like, yeah, you killed some Tuskens, who cares? But I think if the love had been sold better between the two of them, between Anakin and Padme, I don't think we're sitting here asking, why would he risk the entire galaxy for a chance to save her? I think we would just, yeah, that's what he would do. He loves her that damn much. Of course he's going to do it. Of course he's going to believe Palpatine because it is his only hope to believe Palpatine. He cannot live without her. He literally says that. And it is supposed to be taken literally. He cannot live without her. When he doesn't have her, he dies and becomes Darth Vader, and he's the one who kind of kills her, but whatever. Anyway, my point here is it is all about Anakin wanting to control things. It is a lesson about that. It is a lesson about you have to learn how to let go of things in life because you are going to lose things inevitably. There is no way to stop them. And the harder you try to stop them, the more miserable you're likely to make yourself in the long run. Now, I'm not saying you can't try to save people who are dying or mourn the loss of loved ones, nothing like that. But death is inevitable, and that is something we have to learn in life. And if you're a Jedi, you have to be able to put things above those you care about. That is why they don't have attachments, because they put the greater good, the good of all of us, over their own wants and desires. And Anakin was unable and or unwilling to do that because he loved Padme too much. Well, not too much, but he just loved her more than anything. But for now, that's going to be all I got for you this time, so now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree with these questions? Do you agree or disagree with my answers to them? Or you can ask a question for a future lightning response video. All you got to do, you start your comment off with "Hey Thor." I try to answer it in a future video, and I say try because I have gotten a ton of them lately. But I will try to get some other ones in the next few days and weeks and so on. So do keep asking your questions, or you can ask it again if I didn't respond to it. Don't spam me with it, but do feel free to ask it more than once or twice if you want to. Whatever the case may be, though, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.